Hey YouTube, today I'm going to show you how I built the Piaget and then we're going to take it out for a flight.
Subscribe. Ding the bell.
First steps on the Piaget are really simple. You glue on the tail, you glue on the wings, you glue in the spar for the wings, glue in your struts and your wheels, bottom of the plane, and the supports on each side. It's very simple. It was very easy to do. You guys should have no problem if you have the Piaget. Now on to the top. The top is pretty much just as easy as the bottom. You can see it is all keyed. It's got little keys all along the whole bottom, so you just kind of fit it in and you glue it into place, and it's pretty much that simple. As you can see, we've got the top part of the fuselage in, all glued in. Now we got to get on the rudder and whatever the hell this thing is called. So let's do that. Got the rudder on and whatever the hell this piece is called. I just got it up in the air. Gonna let it dry a bit. I also put some fiberglass tape right here to just reinforce the little skid. Next part is the motor mount that goes on here. This is the motor mount. It's several different pieces, and as you can see, it's got a keyed base. You got small holes and big holes, so these little wooden pieces go together like a little puzzle on here to fit around the front end here. It's pretty simple. Just got to glue it all together and get it on. Motor mount is on. I glued the hell out of this thing. This is, after all, what keeps the motor attached to the plane, so if this comes off, it will be a bad day. Next step is to get these little eye things in, the control rods, the electrical system, these little, I don't even know what these things are called. You put them together, they go on the end of the wings, and basically just get the little details sewn up. Oh, and these little parts right here, the control horn for the control surfaces. These things, they kind of act like, I wouldn't say flaps, they do catch the air and help with control of the plane. So the only hitch I've had so far is that the hole that they have for the rudder servo, once you line up the rod with the horn, when you come back here, the rod is going to end up being just a little bit short of the slot and where the horn goes. So my solution, and I think other people have done the same thing, is I cut out about a little bit over half the length of the servo, and I pop that little piece of foam out, and I'll mount that there, and I'll just replace this foam in the front end to create a nice good seal. So connecting the rod holders to the horns, you can see I've got the nut, and right between the nut and the horn, you can see I've got one washer. It actually calls for two washers, one on each side of the horn, but when you put both washers on, the nut was barely hanging on. You can see it's barely hanging on now. With two washers, it had like a thread on it. So I took one washer off and just put one washer between the nut and the horn, and I put some blue Loctite on the nut just to hold the nut in place, and then I'm going to put a drop of CA glue right on the end where the bolt meets the nut, just to make sure nothing backs off. But make sure when you put it on that you don't get any Loctite in the threads where the horn is, and make sure that you leave it loose so that it goes around nice and easy. None of the control horns on any of the servos or what goes on the control surfaces, none of them are the right size, so you're gonna have to drill them out. Find the right drill to get the right size hole to fit on the control horns that go on your control surfaces and on the control horns that go on your servos. You can see this, the end one I've drilled out already to be a little bit bigger. Okay, so I've got the Piaget all put together. I've tested the surfaces at home. We're going to get this up in the air and see how it flies. So it's a bit windy today, taking off, and I just kind of fly around for a little bit, trying to feel out the plane and the wind and how it's going to react. I think immediately those things that I don't know what they're called, they kind of like catch the wind. It actually really helps a lot in keeping the plane stable, especially in the amount of wind that I'm flying in today.
I don't know. I mean, I'm assuming it would fly pretty much like my other models without them. So I just went straight in and I put them on. I was gonna not. I wasn't going to put those. Um, I gotta figure out the name for these things, but I wasn't gonna put them on originally, and I was gonna try to fly it without it. But I figured it would fly probably pretty similar to my other planes, so I put them on straight away. I think really what they do is they kind of keep the plane. They keep it on track. And that's what it feels like as I'm flying it. It really seems to keep the plane on track, and it kind of fights the wind. I can feel the wind trying to turn me over, but with those things on them, it really helps keep the plane on track. As you can see, it's really it's not really that much fun to fly the plane on a day like today because you can't. I'm not really good at 3D, but you can't do much because you're constantly fighting the wind, and the wind is kind of pulling on your battery, and you're just spending so much time and so much energy from the battery fighting the wind that you can't really do much. But as you can see here, I'm barely moving forward. Later on, there's another part where I'm not moving forward at all. Matter of fact, I think the plane is actually moving backwards because the wind is pushing me so hard. But I gotta say, I'm pretty impressed at how well this plane is handling itself in the amount of wind. So I have a couple other models that I don't think would have done as well as this plane. And the only thing I could attribute that to is probably those again, those things that I gotta find out the name of those things that I don't know what they're called, but I think it really helps it. You can see here, I mean, I'm flying it and I'm keeping it there, but I think those things really keep the plane square. They fight.
Yes.
They fight the wind and don't let it flip over. Here I'm trying to do a knife edge. The wind kind of keeps flipping my wings a bit. At some point I do it okay. But all in all, I really think for the price of the plane, it comes with, comes with everything you need. I don't think the electronics and the motor, they're not top of the line. But you know what? It gets you up in the air, and for the price of the plane, on a very calm day, it'll fly amazing. It flies very, very good. I think it's well worth the price. I think right here is where I kind of just do a harrier in the wind, and the wind just keeps me in one place. And if you really watch, it kind of makes me go backwards. Like right now, I think I'm going backwards, or maybe slightly sideways there. All in all, it's very fun. Can't wait to try it on a calm day where I can actually do some hovering and some proper knife edges and try a few other things that I was kind of afraid to try with the amount of wind. I think here I try to do a knife edge. Yeah. So I guess if you saw the Piaget and you were thinking, should I get it? Should I not get it? I would say, yeah, definitely get it. It handles very well. Just again, in any plane that you build, you really want to take care to build it. Take your time and build it right. Make sure you're getting everything square. Make sure you're shoring up everything so nothing comes apart when you up in the air. So here I'm kind of getting a knife edge, fighting the wind, trying to stay low beneath the trees, hoping that there'd be less wind lower.
Did you get that landing?
I did. It was a very good landing. Good job.
Attempt 3. Like 7-mile-an-hour wind. Not too bad, but not that much fun.
So you can see here, I am holding it in the wind, and I do go backwards. So right here, I'm just not moving at all. And then here, at some point, I go backwards a little bit, right about there. It's pretty cool. This is actually pretty fun, kind of holding it up there. It's not real difficult or anything, but it's kind of fun. It's probably the most fun you can have when it's very windy. There are other tricks I attempt to try. I forget what they're called. You kind of go up and you do a stall and you fall to one side or the other. But the wind wasn't really allowing me to do that. So I just kept flying around trying to do knife edges. And I'm very, like I said before, very, 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 very happy with this purchase. The only thing I would caution again is that I find with Motion RC
Right into the
and
sun.
even A-Main Hobbies, their customer service is great, and you know they're good companies, but a lot of times what they advertise is not always what you get. So like you saw earlier in the video, the XT30 was advertised as the JST. So if you're figuring you have JST batteries and you're going to connect them to this, and then it comes with an XT30, now you have to order some JSTs, or you got to get an adapter, or you have to figure out a way around that. Also with the rods, where they were too short, so they didn't give you the right length rods, or they didn't position the hole for the rudder servo correctly. So there are little things that you have to figure out here and there. But if you're just a tiny bit handy, you'll be able to figure these things out very easy, as I did, and get up in the air and have lots of fun.
I got that landing too. Not as good as last one.
That was the wind.
That was the wind,
I
yeah.
had it in
Yeah.
So I think the Piaget flew amazing. I mean, for the price and everything, like I said before, this thing flies great. It flies kind of like this guy and like my other ones. That one's a little bit different, but that one flies. I mean, it just flies great. Again, you're thinking of getting it. I say just go ahead and get it, because for the price, you're getting an awesome, awesome plane. And as you saw before, it goes together pretty much in a snap. Because of how thick the body is, it really squares up very easy. If you compare it to this guy here, this is a super light. See how thin it is? This one really took time to get it square, get everything squared up because of how thin it was. Same thing with the crack pits. This one kind of went together easy. That one's kind of in a different category all by itself. Pretty similar, but slightly different. So if you like the video, please subscribe, like, and ding the bell, and stay tuned for more.
Subscribe. Ding the bell.